Good evening. It's Wednesday, September 18th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Calling the Lakeville Board of Health meeting to order. Is there anyone recording this in the audience? I see no one. LakeCAM is recording this. First on the agenda, 323 and 325 Pond Lane and 213 Cedar Drive. Meet with Collins engineer to discuss proposed wells. Good evening.
Good evening.
That's John, this is a good one, 17.
George Collins from Collins Civil Engineering Group, registered professional engineer, representing Owen, Richard, and Julianne Smith. These two people own all three of these lots, 323 and 325 Pond Lane, as well as 213 Cedar Drive. I have copies of that letter that they prepared if anybody.
Yeah, they have copies
Okay,
as well.
great, yeah, so basically they prepared just a letter, explaining how they own all three of these lots. So basically you have 323 here, 325 here, and then you have 213, which actually goes across Cedar Drive. So they own everything in the dashed, rusty brown dashed line. So you may or may not know, but there's been an interruption in the water supply. There's a public water supply that supplies water to a couple of like 6 or 7 houses in this area, and these two lots were affected. There's like 6 houses on Pond Lane that are tied into a year-round private water supply. That water supply has failed. So now everybody is kind of scrambling to figure out what to do to get water back. Fortunately, because they own all three of these lots, right now they have like a garden hose over the ground surface, just supplying water to these houses, just as an interim measure. So basically, we came in and got a well plan approved in 2015. And that proposed well is up here. And actually there's 2 wells that were proposed up here. And this first well was drilled and it failed, it didn't yield. So basically they just threw in the towel, they spent whatever, $8,000, $10,000. And
Do we have any results on that well? Like how deep? Did they go down 500 where you only need a gallon a minute? Did they frack it?
I don't have any,
We have
I don't have any information. All I know is they attempted to drill it and it failed. So subsequently, we were trying to come up with a plan B. We did meet with a couple well drillers out there doing some brainstorming. So what we're proposing are 2 new wells on 213 Cedar Drive. We're able to find a spot that is greater than 50 feet from all of the soil absorption systems, and the ones that we are requesting setback relief to are all on those 3 lots. So we meet the setback requirements to all the 100-foot setback to all the abutting properties. For example, 129 feet here, 108 feet here to the proposed wells. But we are seeking setback reduction from this system, this system, that system, and that system, the 3 leaching fields that are servicing the 3 lots, again, all owned by the same owner. So basically, we're seeking relief to allow more than 1 well on a lot, and technically it would be a total of 3. The 1 well that currently services 213 plus there's 2 proposed wells here to service 323 and 325. And then we're also requesting a waiver for it to be on a undersized lot. And then the minimum setback to these 3 leaching fields is 63 feet. So that, we're requesting relief to as little as 63 feet to a soil absorption system. And again, these are all owned by the same 2 people. So the relief is the only encumbrance is on themselves. you know, we did look at some other options. We did look at going down at the pond here, putting wells down here. We talked to the well driller. We were gonna have to build a road through here. And then we still weren't gonna meet the 100. It was like we were around 75 feet, something like that. So kind of the cost benefit, we looked at the cost benefit that basically access would be very, very difficult and expensive and would be right up against the pond. Whereas if we're up here, we'll have reasonably good access. And, you know, the plan is to do, you know, deep wells, you know, 300 to 500 feet, depending on what we have to do. Be more than happy to answer any questions that anybody might have.
Okay, I guess one question where we'd start is, so now who do we find out, is on this community well that doesn't have water anymore? Is there a contact person? We have no information on any of this. So now, you're in here and telling us the wells fail, so we're looking to see
Yeah,
who's tied in, who do we contact?
Yeah,
Well, why it failed too.
Why it failed, why it can't be redone, cause.
I don't have any of that information. It's my understanding that the actual line has failed. They've been having problems, they've been patching it.
What's
And that-
the line?
I've heard, basically, I've heard of several different things. So the answer to your question is, I don't have any, alls I know is.
That would make sense, cause we haven't got calls from anyone else. So like I said, if there are 6 or 7 people and only 2 are getting it, like when you told me that, I was expecting you to get a flood of calls, and we didn't get any.
Okay.
But from what you're saying, if it's the line that's broken,
Mhm.
that would make sense that only these 2, which are at the end, would be affected and the other people would be better.
Yeah, and I
Is that-
believe this house is on a well, and then this house here, I'm actually gonna be coming back before you, because they're actually, it's kinda crazy, but they own this lot here and they own this lot here. So I was actually gonna be coming in with a proposal for them to put a well on their lot across the street. And this is a private way, so they have what they have ownership of the feet of the middle of the way, so they can cross the way. The lots effectively connect across the street. So basically, so I will be coming in possibly the next meeting with a well plan for her. And then I think the other houses are in this direction. There's one house that's abandoned that is never used. There's another house, I think they got their old well up and running. And again, this is just kind of secondhand information through my client.
Okay,
So,
more question, I guess, on this. I mean, obviously they had this public well, cause the well doesn't fit on these lots with a septic. I mean, they're a 7,600 square foot lot, you got a 15,000, that's why the well was up where it was. So to come back and try to get a well with these, I mean, you're only 67 feet, I believe, 63 from that septic.
mhm.
Was that septic ever installed? Cause this says it wasn't.
It wasn't.
Yes, yeah, that is correct.
Okay.
We got a permit from Conservation and Board of Health. The system was not installed. Ed and I had a discussion about, we're gonna renew that permit, but we're gonna provide advanced treatment in addition. So we'll be coming back
And
to you with that application.
And then the other, you know, so that's one reason, I mean, I'm just not for the variances personally myself, to where you got them located. I mean, especially where they own it all, and you can get 100 feet. I know it's more work, cause like I said, we approved the plan in 2015, and you tried to drill one, the plans in front of me, to get them up here, and there was no variances. So, and you still got land behind it, so I just don't understand.
Yeah,
You know, why would grant you these variances down here when you can still drill up here and get a well?
And they must have some water already, like you said, they're using a hose from that place, so there's water coming out of the existing well that they didn't replace,
yes.
that they didn't end up replacing?
No, that well there was always there for this house. That
Yeah.
one was for 213.
So that one was always okay,
Oh, well,
it
yes.
never failed, it's,
Yeah, so you'd rather have us revisit the old well locations?
I'm gonna turn over to the other members, but,
Yeah.
just on my point of view, where you can get 100, I don't see how I can let you get a variance
Okay.
when you can get 100.
Yeah, I mean,
it
yeah,
doesn't make sense. These are undersized lots, you don't meet nitrogen loading, none of them are D-nights.
Mm-hmm,
You're gonna have all these wells in this very small area where
okay.
they shouldn't be. I
Yeah.
mean, And then where you had the other well on, we have the older plan that was turned, or a preliminary on it for 323. I mean, I think on 323, you just said that you didn't want to really do a well road, might be expensive. But I think you could probably get 100 with a D-night system, and you could almost probably fit a well there
Down here,
at 100 from each.
I've
You're gonna be
already, I've
tight.
already looked at that, it's like 75 feet, 80
You
feet.
can't, even with a D-night now and moving it over,
And
it
the bottomless
doesn't fit.
sand filter?
I did not look at that.
Okay.
Cause, this plan, you had, preliminary, there was 104 feet from this before.
From that one well, but I
From the
don't think,
D-night and 83 on the other, so, I mean, it would be very, very tight, but at least it wouldn't be 67.
yeah,
If
yeah.
it was 97, I might be, but again, I don't know if
Yeah.
it's easier to get down there or,
Mhm. You know, and I'm not a hydrogeologist, but,
Right.
you know, the fact of the matter is, you know, you have the actual horizontal separation, but you will have, you know, the 400-foot vertical, 300 to 400-foot vertical separation, so it's drawing from a completely different aquifer, but again, I'm not a hydrogeologist. So so what I can do is I can just talk to my client, I'll just let him know that we would like to revisit.
well, I just, I'll
Oh,
turn
okay,
it over
I'm
to
sorry,
Eminem,
I'm
let
sorry.
everybody,
I agree with you 100%, yeah.
and
If there's an alternative, we should exercise that alternative.
Yeah,
I'll
I-
just,
Yeah, and then
No,
on
I
to,
agree, if there's no need for it, then we shouldn't do it. Like you said, that they were on a common because all those lots were so small,
right.
so,
And they came in already in 2015 and met the setbacks on the same property. Just that well didn't yield. I talked to a well driller myself today, just because I wanted to update myself on the
Yeah.
wells. And he said it's very, very rare a well doesn't yield at 500 feet with
Mhm.
fracking, very
Yeah,
rare, you don't get a gallon a
And
minute.
I apologize, it's not my area of expertise.
Right, it wasn't mine, that's why I made a phone call, because I just wanted to make sure before I said something.
Yeah, okay, great.
And he said, if you can move 10, 20, 30 feet away, further the better, but if you can get 20, you could hit water. He goes, it's,
Yeah,
there's
I'd be-
no,
I'd be curious to more information about that public water supply. Like, if it's just water lines, I mean, geez, that seems like the most cost-effective route, right? Than trying to drill a well,
I
what I
don't
mean?
know exactly what the
Um,
problem is.
cause the well's like,
Do you have
what,
contact or
20-something thousand dollars, and then water lines, and then if it, then you gotta frack it on top of it, I mean,
Well,
I think the
it's
water
also-
lines would be easier.
My client's attitude is, it's been an ongoing water quantities issues forever with that well. So they're like, okay, the thing broke down, let's just try to find our own self-sustaining.
which if you can get 100 feet, I would be okay with it.
Yeah. Now, if I come back with that same well plan before, I still have to come before you?
If you get 100 feet from everywhere and there's no things, so you have on there, 2 wells on a lot or 3 wells on a lot. We don't actually have a regulation that says you can't have more than
Okay.
1 well on a lot.
That's something that I put on, the original plan, I think Larry Perry was
Yeah,
the
so
agent at the
well,
time.
What the concern is distance to septic, that's why we're here.
Well,
Yeah.
the lot size is like the biggest thing, and I think having that pre-approved well before is probably a saving grace, because if you were coming for a new one, I don't know if this conversation would go the same way.
Talking about that, he would have to come, because we have that 20,000, 30,000 rank, or is that just for new? That's not gonna fall into this, but there's no well in
Well,
this well.
that's for lots. I mean, normally if a house, if a lot has a house, and has some type of water supply, usually it's a shallow well and we replace it with a better well. As long as you can get the hundreds, it's not an issue. And there are places where you get 1 well and they want an irrigation well. Yeah, that's allowable too. We don't,
But would this one fall under our reg of 30,000 square foot lot? You can't have a well and a septic on, so there's never been a well on this, it was a community well up the street?
yeah, maybe it would, yeah,
I'm just saying, I know
yeah.
you'd have to come back maybe, or no, I don't.
But I
I
mean,
can look at the reg better.
if they're able to look at the well that was already approved, and they drilled, and then they decided not to use it, if there was some way to rehab that, or frack it, or make it a yielding well, then it's
If
an
one that's
approved well.
already drilled.
The one that's already drilled up here.
Right, yeah, I think if-
Yeah, like the casing is in the ground still, they basically abandoned the old well, so.
Yeah, like I said, I can look at the reg more, but I think the intent of that reg was for new construction,
construction.
you know, so I've never applied it here, so I'd actually have to really look at the wording.
would,
No.
you know,
No, I
we,
wouldn't think on this, we would either, I think just new construction.
As long as you meet the 100 feet.
Well, then we've always had the 20,000, right? With places
20,000
that didn't
if you
have,
town water.
that didn't
you go to
have a
20.
well.
Right, but the lot's established, I think, the actual rights here.
This is pretty just a non-conforming. We don't let them get
Because
water.
we had
What are we gonna do, condemn
people
it?
down the shores that didn't have a
That's
well,
right.
that came here trying to get a well from us, and we were like, no.
Well, this is an odd one too, Bob, because they have a community well.
Yeah.
And he's saying the community well might still be fine, it's just the line, so.
Yeah.
Do we have to let them drill a well, because the line's gone bad?
No,
Right. So it's,
and again, I think the whole neighborhood has been kind of discouraged with water quality and water
Yeah.
quantity, so,
yeah, they might wanna put their own filtration system in, or, I mean, you probably still could once it comes in your house, I don't think
you're
that
talking about
matters.
sticking with the community well and doing that? Or you-
Yeah, if they wanted to, but I mean,
The
if you
problem
can
is
get
that-
100 feet, like you said, we can't even, I don't
The
know
problem
if we
is,
can deny you.
there's
We need
six
all
there's
setbacks.
6 houses and 2 of them are my
I
client.
don't think it applies to this.
I wasn't even thinking of the newer one. I was
But-
thinking of the
but-
older one
but-
where the 20,000 square feet, if they
But
never
honestly,
had a
that one
well.
well, right, you had all these wells all over the place now, and when other people gotta start changing their septic systems, we're putting them all over the place now for setbacks.
That's what I mean,
Yeah,
that's,
we're
we're
gonna
gonna
limit all
also
those lots,
look
yeah.
into, like this one, it's just their own property,
Yeah,
but, we definitely have more people keep coming,
yeah.
trying to do it.
And
But I
then
mean,
wh-
I'm okay, like I said, it back in 2015, if you can get that 100 feet.
And then, do you think procedurally, would it make sense if you, just as, to cover everybody's tail? Cause I mean, would it be appropriate to vote, if you thought the undersized lot came into play, cause I'm actually requesting a variance to that tonight. Maybe grant, you know, if you thought it made sense, just so we could grant
You
that
think
tonight.
well, I just read it,
So you just, we don't think it applies?
It was for new construction.
So if you're all in agreement, you don't have to vote.
Okay, so if I can meet the
Did we
100,
eliminate the old 20,000 rule,
No, it's one below it.
right?
The 30.
That we used to always go with,
But it starts with no dwelling, you know,
Yeah.
so it's focused on building a house.
because we had people come here that had the water down the shores. And then they wanted to get off of it and they wanted to drill up, but they had no evidence of well and wouldn't give them a well. Right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
that's the same situation as this,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, you're right, you're right.
That's what this is. They have water service that they wanna get abandoned, they want a well.
Yeah.
That's the same idea, isn't it? And they're less than 20,000 square foot lots. I mean, I think we're covered with that. We approved that well up there before, if they wanna look at that. It's already approved and it's already in the ground, right? Maybe they can get yield out of it and then that solves all the problems, right? It solves the area size issue and, you know, we don't.
and I
It's
believe,
probably better voting that
Yeah.
variance, the
Yeah.
30,000 that we have in our local reg, just to be covered.
is that something that we can vote on tonight, or should I come back with another
You
plan?
could be setting precedents too, so.
Yeah.
If you vote, say, okay, yeah, you can do it,
Well, every case is different.
yeah.
I don't believe in the precedent, every case is different on its own merits.
Yeah.
This one, you're gonna meet all setbacks,
And it's something that was literally approved before.
it was approved before
When was it approved?
2015, right here, approved, and they tried to drill
Yeah,
one
but
well.
see, I think
and it-
that's why if you look at the well, it's there and try and rehabilitate it, then we're covered as far as those other, as far as the lot stuff is covered. I think we're covered there because it's out of our hands.
But is this one
Pretty
lot? So 213 Cedar, you have the house here and the garage up here? Is
Yeah,
that considered one lot?
it's all one, it's all
Yeah.
213 Cedar.
Yeah, that's 32,000 square feet, so you're good. You don't need the waiver.
Oh, cause yeah,
You just
cumulatively,
combine the two.
No, he has it as 16 and 16, but if it's considered one lot, because you have the house on one and the well and the garage on the other, if it's considered one lot, you
yeah,
wouldn't.
they're both considered 213.
Yeah,
So
see,
we're over, it, we don't even need that.
yeah,
waiver.
you got 32.
Okay.
So that's this one. But
That's
I'm
where
saying
the well,
tying these into it though, isn't that?
but the well's going on that lot, we're proving the well on that. We're not approving the well on these lots.
That's true. Okay.
Approving the well, they're getting a variance to get to that well. The well's getting approved on a 32,000 square foot lot.
That's true.
So if I come in with a plan, basically, I'm just gonna update everything and bring in the exact same layout that we had in 2015, then then I should be good without any variance.
And we have nothing with wells, so many wells on the lot.
I can't find
Ed
it.
had looked into that, so that's not even
Okay,
a local.
okay. Yeah, these are just, those are literally the variances.
If you meet all setbacks,
Yeah,
and we're not affecting anybody up here, correct, Ed? Because there's already a well here, so it's not like
yeah,
we're.
there's already a well and there's
Yeah.
already,
Blocking
there's already a
somebody's
septic.
Exactly.
Yeah, and there's just a garage next door, and I think the one over here is a huge lot.
And then you have the septic over here, which is greater than 100 feet.
Yeah, so this guy's got a huge lot there, so there's no.
Yeah, and the lot to the northeast is like 20 acre, 30 acre lot.
And I guess my only other question would be now on 323, I mean, that system was put in 67, we had something in the folder on that with a metal tank, and it's obviously probably a failure now, is that gonna get updated?
Yes, yeah, they're getting ready to renovate, they hired an architect, getting ready to renovate that. I'll be coming back in here with, requesting a variance, going back to conservation. And this was this was also approved previously by this board and conservation.
Yeah,
But the,
2015 with this
but the
plan.
permits have expired.
Correct, and now.
So we'll come back in with a similar design, but with advanced with D-Night.
D9 now. So that'll get upgraded and then the well.
Yes, yep, that's something that's in the works. I'm working with an architect right now. I just sent her my topo and everything. Would it be a pain then, would you have like just a couple minutes to discuss this lot with me while I have your ear?
We allowed to do that where it wasn't posted, Ed, or just a?
Is it
well,
just
we
a
can't vote on it.
hypothetical?
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
kinda,
you can't vote on anything?
yeah,
Sure, yeah, I think
So-
you're the only one on tonight, so.
would you mind if I just brought this over to you? So, this. This property, and this is the way, so she technically owns to the, she has that, owns the feet of the middle of the way. You know, straight out from both of these lots. Oh, and that's right, and then these people, the applicant for tonight own, actually, that's right, they actually own that, right, but they own to the middle of that as well. So, this woman, same boat, I think this guy has a well, but she's in the same boat where she doesn't have water, so.
So this line's damaged coming down the road.
Yes, yeah, so the one place I looked at, where the heck is it? Was like right about here. And it met the setback to this, I probably should have, it meets the setback to this. I don't think it meets the setback, and then it did not meet the setback to these others. Her well and these, her septic and these two septics. So basically, we're kind of grasping at straws with her, because obviously she doesn't own 3 pieces of property.
So now we're running into the Clarkville scenario. It's a small lot and they don't wanna pay to hook up there to get their public water supply fixed.
Yeah, but how old is their septic?
This septic, her septic,
Yeah.
I don't know, I have.
That's right in the middle, so that's kind of the problem. So if you redid the septic and put it like up by the garage, and you still cleared the wells, then you could put a well down by the decks. Not a
It's
pond.
still an undersized lot though.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And
probably.
now we're going back to what we were just talking about with Clark
Yeah.
Children, people
Yeah,
add
it's like a 7,600 square foot
I'd
lot.
like to get the information on that public well now and find out what's going on with it before we even make decisions on this stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind hearing it too, like, I mean, is it just a battle?
it's not
And
right.
people just wanna get away from it?
Well, again, I think my clients have the financial fortitude to like put in wells and stuff like that, and then the other people have, there's other people that have, there's one house that's kind of abandoned, and then there's a couple other people that have absolutely no money, so they're all kind of grasping at straws. So my clients are like, if this is what makes sense for us to get water, not to be selfish, that's what they want to do. But with this woman, I mean,
But now you're kind of making me feel like then maybe we shouldn't, because if 6 people should pay to fix that water line, if we keep letting all these people have wells, it's gonna end up being only 1 or 2 people that have to
So
pay to
then-
fix the water line.
They'd be the
And they
ones
should
that-
only
The
be
poor lady, the poor lady with the 7,600 square foot lot's gonna be stuck with the bill to fix the entire water line,
Yeah,
cause she can't get water anywhere else,
But again-
anywhere else.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear more about the history, like, what's going on?
Well, we're talking about what's on the agenda tonight. This one, if he meets all setbacks and he's over the 30,000,
yeah.
Yeah,
there's no reason we can't. I mean,
Yeah.
he
No.
has every right to, right?
yeah.
No, but I'm talking about.
I'm with you on this one. I don't, this is gonna be.
And now if there's 3 other people on it, we need to find out who doesn't have water. If they don't have water right now, we need to know that.
And then, so of course, her other concern is now we're going into the winter, and I don't know, I think they may have been letting her
This
work
house
off.
is tied to this house down.
Yeah, and that's literally just, they have a garden hose coming down the hill, crossing the street. That house is not in use, but, so they've been using that for the summer. These people, my clients are seasonal, just physically seasonal, and then, they've been, so she's, we just gotta come up with something getting something in the ground by December, before our first frost.
Or fixing the water line, it's broken now.
Yeah, figure out what's wrong.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can inquire, I don't know if again, wells are not from septic.
But somebody needs to. People just can't come in and say the well's no good, and we take that on face value and let people give variances on,
Yeah.
somebody has to go down there and find out what's going on with that well.
So maybe, and then I don't even, and then there's one, I don't even know if, I can find out whether there's a licensed operator or not. Cause I know once it's.
Under 25. If it serves more than 25 people, it needs a certified water operator. Once you get under 25 people, you no longer.
So the 6 houses, presumably you'd be right at that, 4 or 5 people per house. So I will get, so basically, anything I'm talking to you about right now with this, you're not super comfortable with, but what I'll do is I'll do some homework, I'll see if I can get some information on the status of the well, who's maintaining it, what the actual problems are. And then I can send you a draft plan, and I can have a conversation, and it's always excellent to get, he's an excellent communicator, as you guys probably already know, so. Okay,
Well, I almost think we gotta run it by town council too, because if 6 people, if there's something written on the deed that they're all responsible to repair that line, can we just now tell them, well, you're not responsible for your lots anymore?
Can we deny a well that meets everything as
Yeah,
well?
but without taking them their obligation away from paying for the broken water line now.
Yeah, you get the,
Well, it's 2 different issues, like, you can, if it's in their deed that they have to maintain the water line, that's it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they can't drill a new well, they can drill a new
Exactly.
well, and they still will be financially obligated to
And
fix that thing.
Both scenarios could benefit them, right? They could get the well for this, and then eventually they could tie these 2 into that water line again, and then it makes it a little bit easier probably to sell down the road too, I think.
But I'm just saying, tonight, we have an engineer come in and say that water's in failure, and so right now we have 6 houses in failure without water, potable water, so, right, that's a
Yeah, we
way
have-
bigger issue than giving them a variance for something, in my mind anyway, personally.
Correct, and then like you said, the deed question, might bring that up to your client.
yeah,
If they have something in that deed, they're responsible for that line, even if, like they said, you put these wells in, cause you meet all the things to tie in, they still might have to pay to fix that line, going to this next house and these other houses, if it's in
Yeah.
that deed, it's
Yeah.
nothing we
So
can.
we're not lawyers, we don't know that part of it, but.
and both my clients actually are attorneys, so, not that this is their area of expertise, but I'm sure we can get proper research done.
So tonight, I believe I'm with Ed, so we don't even need to vote to approve the previous plan in 2015, Ed would be able to do that.
Okay.
There would be no variances, you'd meet all setbacks,
You get the area.
you'd be over the 30,000 square feet, so it doesn't meet our reg on that. you'll just have to have a recorded easement, I believe, Ed, prior to issuing permits.
Yeah.
This is a recorded easement.
Yeah,
Okay.
so with all the, distances and bearings showing, okay, this is an access easement for, maintenance.
Yeah, it's just something, like something that's recordable, something.
Right, in
yeah.
the deed, yeah.
Yeah, we can do
Cause,
a,
'cause like I said, it may be family now,
Solid.
but.
yeah, we can do what's called, 81X plan with an easement plan, that, it's not creating lot lines, it creates easements.
Correct.
So we'll just do a recordable 81X plan.
And that would have to be, done prior to issuing the well permit.
Okay,
I don't know if it was done already back in this date, I don't know.
I
but
haven't
it
seen
should've,
anything.
But again, that was before I was on
It'd
the
have to
board.
be done and recorded before we give out a well permit.
Correct.
okay, all right, I will bring that to their attention.
And then if you have any information on that well, you could forward to
Okay.
Ed, or who's in charge of it, or any contact.
Yeah, see if we can get
or-
the find out who the operator is. Yeah,
It's like I said, we have no information on it, we don't know
Okay.
who's tied in
all right,
down
great, I
there.
apologize, I should have been a little bit more prepared.
And then just resubmit.
So, and I apologize, so for the 327, the one that's not on the agenda, a lot of what's hinging on that are these other issues with the existing well. We need to iron that out before we can even consider going this direction.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, cause you don't meet the variances, you don't meet the lot size to put that well on.
and I'll check on the age of the system, and then maybe would it make sense to do does it make sense to do a Title V inspection on it, just to make sure it's working right? This is for the other lot, that's not,
323 or 327?
327, the one
327.
that's not on the agenda.
I'm not gonna vote to put a well in that
It's
lot.
still
no matter what
undersized.
you come in with, so they have to fix that well, or the line, whatever's wrong with it.
'Cause the thing with the Title V is if it's 1 inch above groundwater, it's a pass. So like a Title V, it doesn't really, especially when you were putting a well close to it, it's not okay, your well's not gonna get contaminated now because it passes. It's 1 inch above groundwater, so it passes, so it's not like the best,
I apologize, Mr. Robert, is it?
Yeah.
So the last thing you were just saying, so because you referenced like, what was it, Clark Shores case or something like
Yeah.
that, which is kind of similar.
It's
To
exactly
this,
the
it's-
same.
'cause
There's tons of
this-
small lots down there
this
that don't wanna
one
stay
is-
hooked up on the water anymore.
Because her situation is it's undersized and she won't meet the setbacks.
Won't meet
yeah,
the-
Yeah,
so
won't
it's
meet
two,
anything.
it's two
And her
waivers.
only water history is the line coming from that public water supply. She doesn't
Yeah.
have a well, an existing well.
And that's the same thing we had there with Clark Shores.
Yeah,
And we enforce that, it's like we don't let people start throwing wells in everywhere because you're on tiny lots and people try to
If-
put septic systems in and they can't fit them in and.
if she can't get the rest of the group, the rest of the people, if there's nothing legally binding to force the others to participate in that
Then
repair.
we'll condemn all the houses that don't have water, because they don't have a public water supply, or they don't have potable water, so they either, if it's,
I feel like-
somebody needs to tell us what's wrong with it.
I feel like
because-
there's gotta be some kind of mechanism. If there's a public well out there,
Yeah.
there's gotta be something in the deeds, like,
Yeah.
unless they're like, it's ancient.
Mhm.
But if it's a public water supply, there's
Yeah.
gotta be reference
And
in
if,
all those deeds.
and if it's
to
a public
something.
water supply, I think, and you guys should hopefully have some records, and DEP should have
Well,
records.
Yeah, so if it's
water
public,
supply,
it's DEP
DEP's
has the
the
records.
Approving authority for it.
Yeah.
not
Okay.
us.
And we don't
Yes.
see any of it. It's all.
We don't
Okay,
see
so
any
it's
of
a-
that.
okay,
That's
so
a
it's
DEP
state-
That's why
thing.
we
Yes.
have nothing on it.
So maybe I can, now that is, as well as drinking water, that's a different division than, that's not Brett Rowe, it's probably somebody else.
No, it's Jim McLaughlin.
Jim
DEP.
McLaughlin. I'll talk to Brett and he can probably. Okay,
And I mean, I think the only, like you said, on 327, I mean, if you're looking to redo the septic, I'm like, Ed has said, put it across the street, and if you can fit it on that lot with the
You'd have to take-
garages and put the one down at the water, meet 100 feet, we
yeah, you'd have to,
Maybe-
you'd have to take the garage down to
asked
put
for
the
one waiver,
septic.
but it's still,
And then I know
Still
this.
way undersized.
it's way undersized, you're 7,000 square feet.
And then the neighbor beside him, his septic system is,
Down there.
Next to
There's
it.
no way you can get it in,
yeah, so not without,
so on that one
Dimension.
there,
so basically, I'd have to tell this client that
Well, it sounds like they want a whole bunch of variances to do their own wells because they don't wanna pay to fix the water line, which fixing the water line will be way cheaper than drilling one well, forget all 6 of them, so it just needs to get fixed.
Yeah, and again, my client's attitude was a water quality, water quantity issue, and they just wanted a cleaner, better, more reliable water source, cause I guess it's just been a problem ever since forever. But I'll get some clarification on that. Alright, I appreciate your time and your guidance, and thank you, Ed, as always.
Thank you.
Again, Ed's always gets right back to me, and points me in the right direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, George.
God bless.
Subway.
Next on the agenda, SRK DP, doing business as Subway, new owners, 330 Bedford Street. Need to approve a food establishment permit and a milk and cream permit. Ed, I'll turn it over to you, as you know, here to speak on this.
So I guess with, a lot of these franchises, you can't just sell it, you have to go through a process. So, the new owner is, although he's still the owner, they've already changed all the employees and it's pretty much running under the new ownership now, even though, Subway hasn't allowed the transfer. But like there was a big turnover of employees, we had to get all the new serve safes and everything. This probably happened about 4 or 5 months ago. So we inspected them to make sure, because we did hear that, like, there was all these new employees there. So we checked it out and that's what it was the beginning of the transfer. So it's actually been going on for about 4 or 5 months now, and this is the final component of it, where it actually transfers to the new owner.
And they've met everything to find.
Yeah, and they've been inspected with the new employees.
Okay, I have nothing on that. Chris?
No, I'm good. It's the same owner as Sabs.
Sorry?
It's the same owner of, well, it's not Sabs anymore, Lakeville Market, whatever.
No, so,
Okay.
Go ahead, Chris.
Make a motion to approve the food establishment permit and the milk and cream permit for SRKDP doing business as Subway at 330 Bedford Street.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next on the agenda, recommend to the select board to reappoint Gabby Almeida and Shaylin Rodriguez as our new shared services health specialists for the period of October 1st, 2024 through September 30th, 2025. Ed, we all set with approving this?
yeah, so we, it's just something we have to do every year. That's when they started a year ago. They've done a bunch of inspections for us, so they've been a big help. And like I said, we just gotta do it every year to keep them active.
Okay. And they do all
Food.
types of inspection? Food.
Gabby just got her soil evaluators, so technically she could, but I haven't used her at all, for that. But she's really good with the food, so I mainly use her for that,
Okay.
So the collaborative stuff's still working out pretty good.
Yeah, very good. In fact, I was talking about scanning the files. We got all our files scanned and they paid for it, so it was good. I mean, we're still in the process. Some of the files are still being scanned, but it's about a $30,000 job to have it done, so they paid for it all. And
Right.
we've been wanting to do that for a while, so.
I know it's a little off topic, but like with the ADU stuff, like if that starts to make a big wave, that collaborative could be huge with house inspections and stuff like that too, rental inspections and.
Yeah.
So-
Like I said, they're available and they do, and they do help cover, like if I'm sick or if I'm on a vacation or something like that.
And there are no charge to the town, right?
No, state. So the state wanted to help us out, so what they did is they created all these collaboratives, and then, so it's like 6 towns, so the state pays the collaborative, and they just work for us. But we just, rather than hiring like one person in every town, they just hire one person for 6 towns, and that way they use them for all 6 towns.
Right. So like, I mean, remember when we went to that conference and there was like, looked at all of the things that possibly could come before us, there was like 140 things,
Yeah.
which most of it doesn't, but you could have one specialist that represents the whole area, that can
Yeah.
do those inspections for all the towns, you know what I mean?
And
It's
that's
kind of a
the-
smart way to do it, so no one's shelling out tons of money.
And they wanted to help us out, but they were afraid we'd go and buy things, so they wanted mainly from a human resource perspective, so, they can help us out that way, but like, we can't buy a new vehicle or something like that, they wouldn't allow anything like that, but if it, like, the scanning is like a human resource, we would have to hire someone to scan it, or like, we would have to use our employees to scan it, which would take a huge amount of time, so we are able to sub that stuff out, and then, you know, have the collaborative pay for it.
I'm all set with it.
I'm good.
It's on you tonight.
I'll
I make a,
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I make a motion that we recommend to the select board to reappoint Gabby Almeida and Shaylin Rodriguez as our new or continued shared services health specialists for the period of October 1st, 2024 through September 30th of 2025.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next on the agenda, review and approve meeting minutes from June 26th, 2024, as typed. All three members were present. I have no issues with it. I read through it. Good.
I'm good.
Well,
I'll make a motion, we approve the meeting minutes as typed for June 26th, 2024.
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Jump down to announcements. I'll turn it over to Ed for announcements.
Oh, yeah, can you announce that there?
Okay,
flu
we
shot.
have a flu shot clinic to announce. The Lakeville Board of Health nurse will be at the Lakeville Council on Aging at One Deer Crossing on Thursday, October 3rd, 2024, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Please call the COA at 508-947-7224 to sign up for a time. You must bring your health insurance or Medicare card, your completed medical form. Forms are available at the COA and may be picked up ahead of time. Each individual requesting the shot must fill one out. And is this posted on our website too?
It is.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this will be posted on Board of Health website, if you missed the number or anything. So, flu shot clinic, October 3rd, at the Council on Aging. Any other announcements?
Triple E,
yeah.
they're still getting positive triple E mosquitoes, I think there was one in Freetown
I
yesterday.
just heard about Freetown today.
Yeah. So no, I mean, Middleborough, Carver, and Plymouth are the ones, they're still at high risk. Lakeville and Freetown are still at moderate risk, but they've had one in Raynham as well, so you get Raynham, Freetown, and Middleborough, so you have them on all three sides of this. But the good thing is the risk for triple E is starting to go down. Like I said, it doesn't go away probably for another month or so, but we've been through the worst part. The worst part is like the last couple weeks of August and the first week of September.
Yeah, the cooler temperatures at night have helped. I've been out with my dogs and I haven't even seen a mosquito because they're not killing them. It's just they're less active.
Yeah,
right?
exactly, and then like especially the one for triple E, it likes the warm weather, and it was kind of warm the last couple of days, so there is still some risk, but the ones for West Nile, they stick around longer, and they're out even in October, but the ones that transmit triple E, they don't like the cold weather, and they usually go away pretty quick once it gets cold.
And what if we had 2 human cases?
4 human cases.
4 human cases of triple E.
4 human cases, 2 animals, 2 horses.
You guys good?
Discuss any pending items. I have nothing on the pending.
Do we want to talk about that OSRD thing?
Well, the
Park
ORCRD isn't on the.
I know, but I mean, like, just at some point, well, you know what?
We'll put it on.
We'll probably end up eventually having a joint meeting again too. So we can talk about it later.
We can put it on the next agenda if you want to do that.
If she reaches out to me, we'll put it on the next agenda, or I'll reach out to her if she has any specific questions we need to discuss. Okay, I have nothing else.
Motion to adjourn?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.